Okay, so we've kind of created the shape of a doorway in this wall. Now remember, when you're making this drawing, put your horizon line in first, and it's about 2/3 the height of the page, right? And it ends up being, once you put this corner line in, about, a little above halfway the height of the room, right? So your eye level relative to the room is a little above halfway, you know, if you kind of do it in this way, which kind of works out the best, I think, in a more naturalistic way. You could do a real low view if you want to. In that case, keep this line where it is for the most part, but move the horizon line down relative to it. So the horizon line will be a little bit lower here, right? Okay. So you got to kind of plan ahead in that regard. So let's create a dimensionality to this wall, right? So I'm going to kind of come in here just a little bit, and we'll see if we can kind of move in so we can kind of get a better view here. Okay, it's pretty good. So what happens is we kind of think about walking down the wall here, right? And then turning the corner and going into this room here, which isn't there yet, right? You got to think about which side of the doorway would you see the thickness of the wall. That's a tough one. We're looking into the corner of the room this way, right? So we can't kind of look around the corner of the doorway. We would see the thickness of the wall on this side, right? So what you do is you draw a line parallel to this one, a vertical line. Don't know where it starts or ends yet, but I'm just going to make your wall kind of thick here, I think would be good, okay? Like it's a 8-inch wall or something like that, right? We don't know how high to go yet, right? So I'm just going to kind of go up to here. So now we've kind of created a thickness to the wall. The problem is, don't know what to do with this line. Kind of probably wouldn't be here. So I'm going to kind of erase that away. All the way the width of the doorway there. So we get a sense of moving into that space, right? Now, when we come down the wall, we move into this space, right? So we got to kind of go at a 90-degree angle in reality, but, two horizontal lines going in different directions, right? Opposite directions go to the opposite vanishing point. This one obviously goes up to this vanishing point in that direction. So if we were to walk into the doorway, we'd go to the corner there and, let's kind of, need to lock in my perspective, right? Move, always into the space, right? Let me see if I can erase away a little bit there just to kind of clean that up. So what happens up here then? That's the next question. Like we came from this corner in at that, going back to the opposite vanishing point, so too the opening of the door here, we would go start at that corner and move in. Where that intersects that gives us how much we see of the underneath part of the door. Right there, and it disappears right behind there. So that's a big problem for a lot of students, is how to determine how much of the underneath door you see. students often do this. I'm just going to do a real quick little sketch here. So what they would do is they would make this underneath part the same thickness as this right here. So oftentimes what I see is instead of taking this line to the vanishing point, they'll just do like a 45-degree angle here. Something like that, right? And then just go that, do that and call this area right here the underneath part that they see, because same width as this. It doesn't work that way. You can only determine how much of this underneath part you see after you project this back in space and intersect with this. Okay? Realize that this is relatively close to your eye level, right? So you're not going to see a lot up underneath there. Okay? All right. So now let's imagine a room, a wall, moving into this other space here. Okay? Like there's a room back in here, right? Like you can kind of, go back into there, right? But we got to create a space back there. Now you can make this as complicated as you want, I'm just going to make it kind of simple and put a corner in there. Okay, so we'd start here. Remember, this wall's going in behind this one, right? So what I'm going to do is project this, like I can see through this right little wall, right? And then I wouldn't really see it until when? Right now is when I would see it, right? And then it would disappear again. So this is kind of see-through for now, right? Let's see if we'd see the ceiling. So I'm going to, in the other room, okay? Take the corner of this room. If it's the same height, let's see. No, it's above the doorway, right? So you can kind of see how you're creating space here, right? Let's erase that so we don't see through the wall there. It's a little tricky here with the erasure. Okay, so let's move out a little bit here so we can see what's going on. So we have a room, corner of the room, ceiling. Now we build a doorway into the other room, right? So let's show a corner in this room, okay? So all I need to do is do a vertical. So that, we get a sense there's another corner in that room. Now it would stop right there because I don't see the ceiling in the other room, right? We already tested that out. So I'll erase this away. Because we got to make the wall go in the opposite direction, right? And then this line would go to the come from this vanishing point, right? And go the opposite way. So now we've made a kind of created a implication of another cube, adjacent to this cube, another room adjacent to this cube, okay? Or adjacent to this room. So we got a corner of this room and a corner of that room. Okay, so let's put a fireplace in over here, a firebox cube, right? Cut a hole in the wall, in other words, over here. Slide this over a bit, and let's zoom in. Remember, this is, the edge of the paper right there, of the drawing proper, right? Okay, now, nice thing about having this horizon line kind of high in the scene is it's not going to interfere with the opening of the fireplace. So the first thing to think about when drawing the opening of the fireplace, we're going to cut a chunk out of the wall, okay? Like we did the doorway. Doorway's a chunk cut out of the wall, but we didn't draw a whole cube for that. So what I want to do is draw the shape of a cube that is going to be cut out of the wall, so that I know where the bottom of the wall, which is right here. So I can call this line not only the bottom of the wall, but the bottom of the opening of the fireplace, okay? So now all I need to do is draw the shape of a rectangle here, right, to create the opening of the fireplace. So I'm going up on one side. Let me push that towards the wall a little bit more. Towards the corner of the room, rather. Vertical. Vertical. Now how do we determine the angle of the top of this? It's the same, in reality it's parallel to this line, right? So all you do is go to the same vanishing point, which is over in this direction, okay? So we go to the corner of the fireplace and project over. Okay, you don't know how high to go with things until you project that line over to this vanishing point over here. So I'm going to kind of gently erase this away if I can. Okay, so we've got a shape here, right? We've got one side of a six-sided cube we need to make, okay? That's cut into the wall, not coming out, but going into the wall. So I've got 2 points down here, here, and here. We could do here and here as well, but that will go back to the opposite vanishing point that this goes to. We're at the corner of the new cube we're making. It's going into the wall, right? So we'll erase that line away eventually. So all 4 corners of this shape, that's the opening of the fireplace, project back into space, to the left-handed or the left vanishing point, right? We don't know how far yet, so we're just going to randomly project them back. Okay, so got the opening. I don't have any more sides yet. I just have the rectangle here as the one side. So what I'm going to do on the side that's kind of close to me, even though it's behind the wall here, I'm going to just kind of randomly determine how deep I want the fireplace to be and strike a vertical. Where those two intersect, I stop. So now you can see why it's important to learn how to draw the cube. Now I have a point here and a point here that I can project back to this other vanishing point in this direction, right? Now, I know when to stop when I intersect that line right there. Okay? Let's see what happens up here. Take this and back it up a little bit. It's not quite on where I want it to be. It's coming from the right place, but it's not starting. There we go. Right there. So if I've done everything correctly, then we'll see how close I am. Those should be pretty good, right exactly vertical. Remember, all verticals are just that, vertical. So let's erase those lines away a little bit. Those excess lines, right? Remember, you want to take the thing too far, further than you want to go. So, can you see how we have a cube cut into the wall now? So I don't need this line anymore, right? Because the floor is, the fireplace or the firebox has a floor in common with the floor I'm standing on, in essence, right? So we wouldn't see anymore behind the wall here, right? So I don't need this line. nor would I see behind here, right? So I don't need this. Wouldn't see the back corner here. Okay. So here's the opening of the fireplace right there, right? That first line I drew, or the first shape I drew. So I wouldn't see any of this up here either. It's hidden behind the wall. So I'm going to erase all that away. I'm going to erase too much there. That's tricky with this. Put that line back in there. Okay. Let's back out here a little bit so we can see. So here's a chunk cut out of the wall, okay? And that cube used to be here, right? The rest of the cube. Now I have no idea how to do all this stuff, you know, the angle to strike here, unless I conceptualize this as a cube. So when you do yours, I want to see, you know, erase it away less, you know, show a little bit of that. You know, I could have left some of that there, I guess. I want to see your work here, okay? So maybe the halfway point where, you know, you get this done, you know, the first phase of the drawing or something. And I would see that you understood that there's 6 sides to this chunk that's cut out of the wall, okay? I erased all that away, but on your drawing, I want you to kind of leave that in a little bit so I can see that you conceptually understood. Because I often have students kind of fudge it a little bit and just kind of trying to draw this in based on what they're looking at in terms of my drawing. So, and then the angles get all messed up and stuff. So I really do want to see your work, okay? So when you erase stuff, don't erase it fully. Maybe until the drawing is completely done, and I've seen it already before that. So, okay. So let's do one more little thing here before we take another little break here. Let's put a mantel, like a wooden piece of wood sticking out of the wall here. So instead of cutting a chunk into the wall, I'm gonna bring a box out from the wall. So here's where I need to understand to draw the back side of a cube before I draw the front side of the cube. Okay, when we did the fireplace, we drew the opening first, right, the front side of the cube. So here, it also helps to get back from your drawing every now and then. You can kind of see it more clearly. Erase this away a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to start by considering this line right here, the top of the opening of the fireplace. So that's going to be both the top of the opening of the fireplace and the bottom line of the back of the chunk that's going to be the mantel, okay? So all I need to do is extend 2 lines up here, one here and one here. And I'm going to come over here. I'm still on the wall, right? Because this is the wall. This line right here is the edge of the fireplace. So I keep going up, still on the wall. And all I'm going to do is stretch that across. Okay, and I got a pretty good eye there, so I'm about right in the right place. So we have the opening of the fireplace, and now I have a rectangle that's on the wall that's right above the opening of the fireplace. How do we know that? They have a line in common. The rectangle that I just drew, this line is the bottom edge of that rectangle, and it's the top edge of the opening of the fireplace, so it's playing a dual role, right? So now all I have to do is take this and call it a back of a cube and project out from it to come out into the space, okay? So I'll do that now. So you got 4 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, that I'm going to project from this vanishing point on the left-hand side out into space. So instead of going back into the wall to the left vanishing point, I'm taking that left vanishing point and projecting out into space. Don't know how far yet, right? Just randomly. So can you see kind of how those lines are projecting outward, right? They're not going back into the wall, but they're coming from the same vanishing point that this line went to, okay? Now I'm just going to kind of decide how, on this side, how deep I want that, how much I want it to stick out, okay? So I'm just going to kind of take that corner and drop it straight down. Now remember, all this stuff right there, that line's behind, right? So I keep going and stop at that line. Let me clear this out now so we can see it. So that stuff won't be there anymore. Okay, so I've brought a plane out from the wall. Okay. It's like a piece of paper or something now sticking out from the wall, but I got to finish the cube off. So I'm going to go back and project from these 2 points right here and right here back to the right hand. I'm just kind of turning a corner. These two go to the left-handed, or the left-hand vanishing point. Now I'm wrapping around the thing, and I'm going to go to the right vanishing point. When I do, I keep going until when? Until I hit that. So if you didn't project that line out, you wouldn't know where to stop that, all right? Same here. Keep going up until, not that, that's the corner of the opening of the fireplace. I keep going until I hit this line, which is the line projected outward. And if I've done everything correctly, I can drop a vertical and I'm in the right place. So you can kind of see the transparent nature of that, right? I started with this back one, right? Because that's where I know the wall was. And I moved out into space. Again, a lot of the errors students make, they'll come out here and start to draw the cube first and work their way back to the wall. You don't know where you're at. You got to start from the known quantity. So let's erase away now. So this, this conceptualization of space is really tricky, right? You see, this would be the way it would be if you were sitting in a room looking at a mantel and a fireplace, right? Of course, scale and size and all that sort of stuff are different issues, but okay, so let's erase away stuff we wouldn't see. Wouldn't see that. Wouldn't see that. Wouldn't see the opening, right? The top of the opening of the fireplace anymore. That's gone because the mantel's blocking it. Okay. Again, I want you to kind of generally, you could probably erase away all these lines, but generally, show me a little bit of your work, okay? I want to see that you're understanding this. Now let's zoom out here. So there's the room, right? Got a chunk cut out of the wall, mantle, corner of the room, opening into another room. So you can kind of see, we don't see a ton of the top of the mantle, right? But you can kind of, because it's getting close to the horizon line, right? So this plane that's the top of the mantle gets really thinned down, really skewed, right? You do see the side here, right? Because it's coming out, but this is, the top plane is a horizontal plane, so it's flattening out because it's close to the, close to the thing. So, put a little kind of vase here or something, flower, whatever. So, okay. So take a little break here, but the next thing is I want to draw a table out in space here, okay? But I'm not quite sure where that table is. Maybe I'll just do that now. And we'll kind of go on from there. So the table I want you to draw, I want you to kind of locate it. I want it to both be in front of the fireplace and in front of the doorway. So the question is, how do we know where that is? Well, all you have to do, remember this is a flat plane here, this floor, is take this point and this point, this point and this point, and project out across the floor from respective vanishing points. So let's do that. Don't know how far to go. Don't know how far to go, so let's kind of take it past where the door is. Now I'm coming from the other vanishing point outward. They intersect one another, right? All of a sudden now we have a sense of location on the flat plane that was the floor. And we wouldn't know that unless we projected out from a known quantity, which is the wall. Okay? So what I'm going to do is erase away. Stuff we don't need. These lines, right? So you can tell I'm pretty interested in perspective because I think if you're interested in getting into art, you really have to know how to deal with that flatness of the picture plane, right? So even if you're going to become an abstract artist, it's good to know this stuff. So you know, it's good to know the rules so you can break them, I guess. Okay, so kind of created a shape out there in the floor, right? It's both in front of the door and the fireplace, and the same dimension of each respectively, right? Okay. So now we're going to bring that upward. I'll fix that later. So imagine this is a rug that's setting on the floor in front of both of those things. Let's make it into a table, okay? So all I need to do is project upward with these four. Don't know how far yet, right? Now I'm overlapping things, you know, that's good. That's the way life is, you know. So I'm going to take the table will be in front, will kind of block some of this wall back here. So what? That's a good thing. So can you see how I kind of just now projected from the four corners of that plane, the rug plane, upward to make this into a cube, right? Rather than it being a flat rug, now I'm going to make a dimensional sitting upward, okay? So we're going to make it into kind of like a coffee table here. Now the trick is I want to make this coffee table be in scale with the fireplace. So the way to do that is go, and let's say, and on yours maybe you could do this. Let's say the coffee table is halfway the height of the fireplace. So I'm going to go halfway up the height of the fireplace. Right there. You could put a little dot there. I won't be doing that because I want to just project a line. And then I'm going to project a line outward from that halfway, you know, the height of the fireplace till it creates a plane right here. Okay, so this is obviously bigger than this little dimension here, but that's good because it's perspective, right? So as I move out from the fireplace, that dimension gets bigger. And so the coffee table ends up being in perspective with the opening of the fireplace, half the height of it. So this projection line, you wouldn't need to, you know, and that comes from the left vanishing point, remember? Every line you draw, except for verticals, have to go from one of the other vanishing points. So I'm projecting outward from the fireplace to get a height of the tables here, okay? Or the table. So now I have a plane, one plane, two planes. Now we just have to finish this cube off, right? And we do that by going back to the opposite vanishing point. So I'm going to take this corner and move back to the other vanishing point, right? Until when? Until I hit that vertical line. Let's walk over here. Back to the right vanishing point. Until when? Not that line. That's the corner of the room. That line. That's the back corner of the cube we're building. Now I'll take this and move back to the left vanishing point. So you can kind of see there's a system. Now this system is representative of what happens in real life, okay? So all this stuff now I can erase away because we won't see it. It'll be behind this cube that we're building, okay? Which will become a table. So we can get rid of all this. In fact, I probably wouldn't even see that anymore. This might be on a different different layer there. I'll clean this up in a second. And technically, we probably don't even need, you know, maybe this anymore, right? I will see this though, right? That back leg, so I got to keep that in. Now the legs look a little bit suspect because they're just single lines, right? We have to make them into fully dimensional kind of cubes again, right? That are projecting downwards. So let me kind of come in here a little bit. So we just put vertical lines down. Let's make this table have a thickness though first, okay? So what I'm doing here is just kind of giving it a, again, going back to the respective vanishing points. It's not just a parallel line, it's going back to respective vanishing points, right? So kind of, we'll imagine this is a wooden table or something. Now from here, I'm going to drop a vertical down. And now remember this plane is facing outward, right? So its terminus down here. How did that happen? There we go. That's pretty close. Okay, that's pretty good. Projects back to the vanishing point, right? And then the other, it's a four-sided leg, let's say, right? You know, 4 planes. So I'm going to make another plane on it. Now that would go from here up underneath the table, right? See, I'm kind of creating a chunk to that. A chunky vibe, right? Down. Don't know how far till I come to the corner here. Move back. Let's go back the other way. And straight down. Over here. This is the outside plane, so I'm going down further than I need to right there. Project this back, right? And this cuts under the table. And then that kind of sneaks out from under there. Okay. And then this one you can kind of just, so this would be the outside of it. So you could, it's not a big deal here, you know, you could just kind of, it's kind of the back side of the cube, you know, so technically speaking, its footprint would be maybe something like that. It's always good to draw a footprint of something first, right? So got 1, 2, 3, 4 corners, right? So I'll draw a vertical up until that disappears under there. There. So you can kind of see how I, you know, understanding. So that original line's the backside of that little cube that's projecting down into, you know, behind this table. So I could kind of erase away that stuff, right? And this could become all one form here, right? I don't want to lose, don't see through that anymore. One form, right? So that could be all one. That could be all one. That could be all one. But this little line stays here, right? Because this leg tucks up underneath it. This line, it's kind of hard here with this eraser, but this line stays here because this plane tucks in up underneath it. Can't lose too much here. Okay, wouldn't see that anymore. So, with a pencil, ruler, it's a lot easier than with this. Okay, so it's pretty good. Probably take a little break here. Wrong way. Just want to kind of clean that up a little bit. Okay, so let's back out and see what this looks like. I think that's on a different layer there. This is kind of tilted a little bit too. So, that didn't affect the, there we go. That didn't affect the vanishing point, still stay in the same place. Okay, so table, now we've drawn a table because we started with the floor and projected out from the, the fireplace and the door. So we know where that table is now because we used the vanishing points and projected outward. There's a system to all this, right? You're kind of inventing space in a certain way as you go. Not only drawing objects, you're drawing space, right? So you're carving space into being. The illusion of it, albeit, right? So. Okay, so that's good for now. So we'll kind of move on here. I want to hang a light from the ceiling over top of the table and maybe put a little chair over here or something just to kind of finish things off here. So, okay.